Greetings, this is Marley from the Black Father Support Group. Again, here we are, about to look into the topics that we spoke about last night. And it was a really deep session today. I learned a lot myself. So today's recap is brought to you by Do As I Say and Not As I Do, because I need to start doing the stuff that I'm about to tell you. And also, if there's any ladies watching this video, some of the things I might say might be a little bit difficult to hear. Just know that I'm saying it, from a positive position, and I hope you don't take it too difficultly. Okay, so let me get into it. What we was discussing was, how you can have relationship issues, and they could be any manner of things. All right, it was whether that's to do with communication or whether that's to do with, just upset or infidelity from both sides. Whatever the issue is with your relationship, as the man, you have to take responsibility for it. You have to see it as it's your fault. How the woman feels is your fault. It is your responsibility. And you may not like hearing that. You may be in a situation or in a relationship where your other half says things to you like, you made me feel this way, or you made me do X. And it's really easy to go, well, hold on a second, I didn't make you do anything. You need to take responsibility for what you do, and I'll take responsibility for what I do, and then we'll be good. And that is a very new way, relatively speaking, of seeing things, because things used to be a lot more sexist. Things did used to be a lot more sexist than they are now. And I think even now, we're still as the human race grappling with these newer ideas of how roles work between the genders. And so I think there's some things that are better, especially now that I'm a dad of a daughter. There's things that are definitely better, and then there's things that I think that are failing because of how we're looking at things. And this is one example of it. We're seeing more and more breakdown in relationships, and that could be because back in the day when there was more sexism, a woman could quite easily just leave a relationship if she's not happy, and then find a job and do things on her own. Things weren't set up that way, whereas now they can. So it could be that. Women have to take less nonsense from their partner. It also could be because now, less than before, men don't take responsibility for how their women are doing in the relationship, how they're feeling about things, and what the man brings to the table affects her. I don't know if that makes much sense, but I'm going to try and break it down for you, all right? So, President Truman, United States President, had a very famous sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." And the reason why he had that was because, as far as he was concerned, no matter what was going on in the country, he had to take responsibility for it. Now, as a man in your relationship, you have to take responsibility for what works and what doesn't work about that relationship. So what's good and what's bad about that relationship is down to you. Responsibility is the sign of a true boss. And if you intend to, or you speak like you are the man in the household, and you want to take that boss-like position. And when I say boss, it doesn't mean that you're now, you're now superior and you have someone who's underneath you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about leadership. I'm just talking about leadership. And if you're going to take that leadership role, if you're going to take that boss role, then you need to take responsibility for everything that goes on in that house. And if you're having that conversation like, well, I didn't make you do X, Y, Z, you did X, Y, Z, and that's nothing to do with me, then actually what you're doing is you're letting go of that role of leader. And instead, you're saying, okay, we are both equal, and as such, you take care of your stuff, I'll take care of my stuff. And what we always see is it doesn't work, because, you know, our other halves will blame you for how she feels about something. So there's kind of like a disconnect there. She's blaming you for how she's feeling, and yet you're unwilling to take on that responsibility of how she's feeling, then that means that she'll just continue being upset, and you'll continue not taking responsibility for it. So then the upset continues and the madness just grows. That was what we was kind of getting into yesterday. It started off with a lot of finger pointing. Yeah, what's wrong with those women? Oh God, those women are all crazy. It started off like that. And as different people were talking about different situations, you know, those fingers started to turn and point back at the brother who was talking about his stuff. And I had to take a really long look at myself and how I've been conducting myself in my relationship, because I can see for real that, you know, I wasn't willing to put myself in that position of responsible both for myself and for my other half, which causes a lot of friction and upset. The buck stops with you, gentlemen, and some people may find that as a sexist position to take, or where you're saying, okay, well, you're the person that's now going to be responsible for both the, you know, how you and your woman's feeling, or about how you and your woman are interacting with each other. You know, if your woman cheats on you, you need to take responsibility for it. It's that simple. It hurts and it seems unfair, and that is the job. That's the job. The alternative is you'll find yourself in situations where you could be getting a WhatsApp message from your missus that you don't like, and you read that WhatsApp message and you decide to reply to that WhatsApp message, and then you two have a WhatsApp war for hours and hours, days maybe. And when you look back at it, it's very easy to go, hold on a second, that didn't make sense, because I can see that I'm reading out the message and then I'm thinking about a reply, and then I'm there getting my phone and typing YOU space ARE space A space STUPID space BIT, and it can go like that, right? And instead of like, I say, hold on a second, why am I even wasting my time on this thing? Why don't I just deal with whatever the thing is? Take responsibility for whatever it is. Instead of us doing that, we get sucked down into that thing where emotion is driving the conversation, where emotion is driving the mood of the relationship and even the direction of the relationship. If you're having emotions drive the direction of your relationship, you're in big trouble, because your emotions do this. They go up and down, up and down. And if you're sitting there trying to, you know, play this thing where you go, okay, we're both equal, then, you know, you're gonna fall over, because you're now having to run your relationship from a position of, you know, the two of us, you know, two captains, as it were. That brings us on to that conversation about equality, because one brother was saying that, you know, we talk about equality as though that is the truth, but there's things that women can do that men cannot do, you know. So women can give birth, for example, and men, no matter how much, even if they did want to, won't be able to do that. So there are tools that we can both bring to the table, which means that actually, you know, there'll be some situations where the woman is in a superior position, and there's going to be situations where the man is in a superior situation or position. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just what it is. And one tool that we have as men is that we don't need to rely on our emotions, or we don't rely on our emotions. We have our emotions, and then you also have your ability to be able to put those emotions aside and think about things like, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and not allow your emotions to, usurp that, to mess that up. We can actually say, right, put emotions to the side, what is the goal, and then go for that. If that's the case, we are the ones that need to start dictating where we're going and how we're going to get there. And we need to be able to manage the relationship, manage our partner, manage what she's dealing with, manage her emotions about it as well, in order to bring her along on that journey that we're taking. We have to set boundaries and rules as to what is okay and what's not okay. And then we have to be able to stick to our own rules and boundaries. So if, for example, infidelity is a boundary that you say, has to be part of the relationship, you as a man cannot then go and stray because you mess up your own situation. You've just ruined your own boss-like position. And those kind of things will have ongoing, non-stop impacts on your relationship. So as you go forward for the next week, bear that in mind. The buck stops here. It doesn't stop with your lady. Stop blaming her for things. Stop blaming her for, not showing you the respect you deserve. If she isn't showing the respect you deserve, you're doing something wrong. You need to look at yourself. The buck starts with you, and it stops with you. In fact, you are the buck. That's it. I really hope that this helps you in your relationship. This is Marley Morris from the Black Father Support Group, learning and passing on the information at the same time. Until next week, brothers, later.